Speaking of sawdust, oh my gosh, sawdust. Who would know such a thing to be in a wood shop? Ugh. Hello everyone. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Viking fully automatic microprocessor controlled battery charger and maintainer. I've been looking at the Viking products for quite a while. I've been honestly borrowing my brother's charger for quite some time, and it works good and he doesn't mind at the moment, and like he said, he doesn't always get as much use out of it, so that wasn't too bad for a while, but I still definitively wanted my own. Plus also the drop everything, try to get over there, coordinate when he's home to borrow it. When I'm done using it, go back and drop it off. Just the process that quite a few of us have probably been through. And I've been eyeballing this brand because a few of the ones I was looking at Walmart and different automotive stores, they seem to work, but none of them quite fit the bill, and I didn't want to drop $180, $150 on a worthwhile big one, or even just a worthwhile one in general. Sometimes you can get up to at least 80 bucks and plus. This brand is a Harbor Freight brand. Product number on here is 63350 for those of you watching at home. This is the 4 amp edition, so it's constant 4 amp. I was looking at a variety of different ones to potentially purchase, and a lot of them start at 2 amp for a low end charge for a 6 volt or 12 volt, as this one is, little battery. And it's not bad for that for 2 amp. And then it has a 10 amp setting, and a lot of times it'll have like a 12 amp or a 15 amp that they say is like a boost mode for jump starting a car, but most of the time you'd want one that'd be like 50 amp, but a lot of those ones can't do gel or AGM batteries. This is an AGM battery. So what that means is it is a sealed glass, and it's like a little fiberglass glass piece in there essentially that houses your lead and acid. So it's a similar process or concept, but it is a different process to get the same end result. And it can take a lot more shock and percussion without potentially snapping the lead chunks in there for the glass one, or AGM rather. These ones are sealed, which is nice. You don't have to add any acid, you don't have to add any water to the battery itself. And having that capability, this one does AGM, gel, deep cycle, and also standard batteries. The beauty of these, that my brother brought this up to me as a good point, is that you can use this as a normal battery charger. You don't need a larger charger to charge any standard battery. And this isn't just for small batteries, although that is going to be primarily what I use it for. I'll still need it on occasion going through the winter. There's going to be the occasional dead battery, and it's just worth having a battery charger. So in today's video we're going to go through and charge up a dead battery, and we're going to see if this is able to click over into the maintain mode and maintain that battery. And it should only take about 2 hours. That's about the consistency for this small of a battery for this to be able to charge it, which is nice. The 4 amp is a nice in between. It's not full on 10, so it can still do the lower battery, or smaller capacity rather, but it actually has enough oomph to still kind of push over into the larger standard battery and or deep cycle battery to charge it. So we're going to go through and just kind of do a preliminary test on that, and I'll kind of go over some of just what you can read off the box and then what I know for them on top of that. So this is 6 volt, 12 volt system. It is fully automatic processor controlled feature. It will adjust the amperage rate to charge and maintain batteries quickly and safely with one press of the mode button that you can see on there. So let's do a quick little open up, see what it looks like on the inside here. So I've already cut the tab, just for the sake of not having to jump around with a knife or anything like that to get this cut. You have your standard owner and safety operations manual in the box. Got our power in and power out. The box itself, the charger itself. Maybe that will peel off here. There we go. And that's it for the box. Just this little flap, nothing major. 2 standard connections it looks like. One looks like it has a fuse, one doesn't. So your standard gator clips don't actually have any kind of fuse on them. They're actually very nice, strong, stout little connectors. As far as the spring in there actually seems like it's not one of those chintzy ones. I've had a few different chargers that I've gone through and used before, and one I had purchased that died on me. where it just felt like I had to almost make another secondary spring in there or some kind of retention clip to help hold it onto the battery, because it just never felt like it would hold on there and their own tension would pull them off. These actually feel like, yeah, it'll clamp, and it actually kind of hurts a little bit. So that's good, very decent amount of clamping capability. On these ones, you can actually screw on or bolt on, which is what I'll probably end up using. And then for your battery to not overcharge or put back too much of a current, it actually has a built-in fuse, which is nice in the line. Let's take a look at that. Alright, so we have a 7.5 amp fuse and a nice little water cover on there. Everything seems to be a nice solid connection, and everything is on there so that way you can't accidentally mix up your positive and your negative. Your what's that? It looks like your positive is exposed and your negative is covered, so that way you can slide on each of the connections. And they do feel like they fit pretty nice and snug. I've had one or two of these styles of connectors with a variety of different tools in the past that never seemed to really quite work. This one actually seems pretty stout, and they definitely click in noticeably. Hey. And it's not something that if I was to like pull this a little bit, I'm not going to feel like this is going to unconnect real quick and easy. Let's see here. Alright, so you have 4 feet on the front end of the box, and they were saying you had 4 feet on the rear end of the box. I was looking up specs online of this a little bit, looking through, comparing. I got this one on sale via a coupon that you can get for Viking brand products through their catalog or off their website. And also you can go to the good old trusted Harbor Freight Coupons website, and it'll pull up and constantly present you with this month's coupon for that said item you look for. So this is a 120 volts 1.2 amp input. So this is pulling 120 at 1.2 amps. So this isn't going to pull too hard on a breaker at all, which is nice. And then I'm guessing as you increase your amperage output here, it'll pull your input a little bit more. But even still, 4 amp is not going to be enough to really trip any breakers unless you have numerous hair dryers and your stove going all at the same time with your microwave. Alright. Amperage only present when connected to battery or in start mode. Makes sense. So nothing's actually pulsating through here until it is connected to a battery. Just a mode button. Everything else is pretty straightforward. The sides of the unit have a rubber that is actually partially molded to the actual center plastic, but it feels like it can actually take 1 or 2 drops. 4 bolts to take apart the entire thing, and they're just Allen keys. Nothing too major, straightforward. You can see the same bolt just goes through and through. Connection just kind of sits into the pre-cutouts of the plastic. You have your standard kind of plastic face with a little LCD screen on it. And like I said, 4 feet in front, 4 feet behind, and your connectors here. So since I've got the screws in the battery, I think I'll go off of that. Although for video's sake, maybe we'll go off the gator clips. That was just a little more straightforward, and we know for a fact it works. So you have a limited 90-day warranty and the standard 7-day warranty through Harbor Freight, which is nice and a good benefit to be able to have. Looking in here, you have maintenance, operation, setup, and safety as little tabs on here. So as far as the safety tab, gives you a recommended thickness of the wire for the extension cord. So if you were to use one, kind of a nice little layout here dependent on what length you're using, what gauge of wire you're using, and how long or how many amperes it would be able to do. So that's nice. And standard safety. And it gives you what it comes with. Alright, so for a battery layout on here, it'll give you an indicator for, plug it in, what happens just with nothing connected. So when you plug it in, it turns on green, shows you all the indicators for a split second here. So depending on what you have it connected to, right now it's showing 0 volts is whatever would be connected, and it's showing that there are clamp symbol. So, saying the clamps don't have anything connected, pop that off. Up on these ones. Nice part is if you were to have this in a toolbox or knocked around in a vehicle or something to that accord, or even in your workshop, each of these connectors have a little cover on it, so that way you're not going to get mud, dirt, dust, or grime in your actual connector pieces. So we'll kind of set that off to the side for right now. So I'm going to charge this battery in question right here, but let's go over this. So battery charge level will be on the right side, the voltage will be displayed in the middle, battery polarity, so if you end up accidentally hooking the connectors on backwards, it'll give you a symbol right here to let you know that it's on backwards. In the center up top here, it'll have a winter mode, so 12 volt standard and AGM to let you know, hey, it's going to take a second, kind of warm the battery up a little bit. There is an indicator in the bottom middle to let you know if you have a bad battery. There's a few false positives you can get for that as well in general, but otherwise it's pretty well straightforward. Past that, gives you a couple more warnings. So nothing too major, but that's pretty much all you have with this little manual here. Put that back in the box. Alright, so having our battery charger with our battery itself. So connected it, says it's at 11.7 volts, so it's below the proper 12 volts that it needs, and the battery is depleted is what it's showing at, so a 0 connection. It's showing the winter mode for a moment, which it said in there that it may take a second for it to kind of warm up, test the cells, and this also might be a little cold. It is not major, it's like 60 degrees right now in my workshop, so not bad, but it's just probably checking and running through it. So auto sense that this is 12 volt, and I want it to be 12 volt AGM, which is what this little guy is. It was on standard mode, so you will need to cycle it over. And it's indicating that it is on 0, but it is currently outputting 12.4 volts into this little guy. It's in the red, so it's showing that it's just a depleted battery. We're going to come back to it here in about 2 hours, see where we're sitting at for the proper voltage, hopefully to make sure that the indicator has gone up, and to check around to make sure there isn't any issues. This is a sealed cell, but whenever charging a battery, you want to make sure to check it to make sure that your sides are not expanding, none of your seams are showing any signs of leakage. If the battery has taken damage, those chances are higher. Currently the battery is cold, nothing major. Same with the battery charger, not feeling any heat sources or anything like that, so we'll check on that here in 2 hours. Just to make sure, I might check it ahead of time, so not quite the full 2 hour window. I might come in a little sooner and check on it. But we're going to take a quick second, and I'll be right back to take a look at it, see how she's charging up. Alright, so we're back after just over 2 hours of charging. Charger is reading at a full charge, showing 12.8 volts. Alright, so everything looks to be good. So if you hit the mode button again, it'll act like it's trying to charge again, but it's sensing that it's full charge. After a few minutes, it should pop over to maintainer mode. It was in the maintainer mode, which is nice, so it'll just continue to have a lower voltage, but continue to charge as needed. So it was doing what it was supposed to. Let's plug that now. And I have a fully charged battery. The unit itself, not hot, anything. Battery, not overheated or warm at all. This was just on in a maintainer mode. Once it had fully charged the battery, it was just topping it off as it needed it, which of course it was going to need it after that. So, I feel that this is a good, viable, functioning charger, which is nice. There's been a few things that I was reading in a few different reviews that I'd watched where a couple other individuals had tried charging and then not charging properly, so they had to return it. And I watched all that myself before purchasing the product just because I wanted to know if it would be viable for my needs. And then I wanted to do initial unboxing as well to give my opinion on it, since a lot of the videos I'd looked at were a couple years old. So we're going to plug this in, or I will plug this in a little bit later and run through everything. So far the charger itself is showing that it works perfectly fine. So I'm going to hook it up to my scooter, crank it over, see how it runs. Alright, let's give her a quick turnover, see that battery works. Well, horn works. issue at all. High beams, low beams. Like a champ. Alright, so for a quick conclusion to things, I really like this charger. It did exactly what I wanted to. The thing is ultra light. It does not weigh much, so if you were to throw it into your ATV or if you were to throw it into your truck and you had like a little tailgater, a little portable generator, or a nice inverter that could pull 4 amps, which is highly unlikely unless you had a nice diesel of some kind, you could definitely run this with you. So that way if you were to get out to the trailhead and it took you a little while, out here in Colorado we sometimes go to Moab, or we'll go outside of Colorado, or we'll just go to a nice part of Colorado, and it takes a few hours on occasion. So for any reason, if you were to arrive thinking that your 4x4 or anything else was just running great until you got it up on the trailhead and your Polaris or what have you was just not running right, has a dead battery, something killed it along the way, or it just didn't quite hold the charge you were hoping for, this is something that you could also pack with you if you had a means like a good generator or something like that that you're already going to have up there, because a few of us do that anyway, and you could run this. So you could, in theory, do that. If you're afraid to jump start it, or you actually want to have some kind of worthwhile charge on it, and you're already going to have the generator running, or any of those kind of situations, that's one of the things I thought would be fun to be able to bring this along with, to just have it. So that way you were not having to risk jump starting it and frying your 12 volts off of a diesel deep cycle battery or something like that. That would crank out a lot more if it was running. You can do that in a pinch. You can hook it up, not running whatsoever, and you can kind of bypass that to get the little batteries that I'm looking at charging primarily to turn over properly. But I do like the idea that if I did have to worry about a battery for the following day of work and it just was completely dead, but I got it home, I could unplug it, plug this in, and I would trust that this would fully trickle charge and maintain till the day that I unplugged it, ran it. So even if it had a dying cell, but I was in between paychecks, any of those scenarios, this little guy would be able to save my bacon. And with coupon, it was $27.99 for the one that I got. Normally it's like $39.99. You can't use the 20% off coupon. It is excluding Viking products and Bauer, all those products, but you can find particular products like the Viking products that have their own super coupons. And that's what I was able to use on this little guy. I just did a search for it, pop right up. It might be like every other month they run the coupon, but usually there's a coupon for this one. Sometimes there is for the larger one. I just like this one for portability, and like I said, being 4 amp and a little bit more lower on that power drain, I could potentially use it for a couple outsourcing products or projects. But yeah, there you have it. That was my quick-ish, but more or less in-depth view of the Viking 6 12-volt 4 amp battery charger. It has a nice microprocessor, does everything that you would want without having the analog one direction or the other. This one, so far as I've read, and a few batteries I'm going to try it on, will have the ability to run with a minimal to no power in the battery, which is awesome, because a lot of battery chargers nowadays have a safety feature that if it has zero charge on the battery, it will sense that and just immediately say bad battery, or it won't even try to charge it. It just won't even turn on. This one actually is low enough on the amperage that it will try to charge it because it's meaning to go down to a 6 volt or a 12 volt. So because some 12 volts get down to that range where it can only pump that much and sense that much push from the battery, it will actually charge it, which is nice. So, side feature, love the clamps. They were solid, and you definitely have to press them to get them to come off. You don't just like kind of bump it and they fall off like some other battery chargers. I enjoy this capability, so if you were to leave it for a couple days hooked up, just maintaining and charging over a weekend, these little guys would just be screwed in tight, fully charging the unit. You could probably still leave it connected without having to disconnect the battery by itself. You could probably use those, and that's also where I like the 7.5 amp fuse, so that way if for any reason, if you forgot, cranked it over, it wouldn't fry this guy, it would fry that fuse before it could back charge the pressure or the charge into this from your stator, alternator, what have you, which is awesome. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's greatly helping. We're slowly climbing up almost to the half thousand, so 500 mark. If I can hit that 1,000, get monetization, that'd be key and awesome. That's what I'm shooting for, so I can continue to produce and show good content that all you fine folks will be enjoying out there. Hopefully this has been helpful. It gave you just a little bit different perspective than some of the other reviews you've read, seen, or have heard from other people. And hopefully it gave you a nice enough view, little things that I liked about it that maybe someone else hadn't mentioned. And hopefully this has kind of weighed your decision one direction or the other. So thank you very much. Oh, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that way you know each and every time I pump out a video. And thank you very much for watching. Have yourself a good one.